The Coral Sea, breathtakingly beautiful, so alive with fish and corals, and little coral caves that draw the turtles, seabirds and sharks.
Come up there.
This is the Coral Sea, of emerald isles in a rainbow sea. The historic Battle of the Coral Sea turned the tide of the Japanese invasion. In war, 836 Japanese ships went down. In peace, cyclones continued the toll. My diving team, Sun Dean, Lynn Roberts and Layla Fisher, inspect one of the many warplanes that became tombs in the coral. A metre of coral growth covers the wing after 60 years. I'm navigating my catamaran cruiser Freedom on a voyage of adventure and exploration some 250 nautical miles off the North Queensland coast.
Anchor, Dean.
Right.
Protected from human interference by isolation, the Coringa Herald Nature Reserve offers the most outstanding, unspoilt scuba diving in the world. The flora and fauna differs in a number of ways from the Great Barrier Reef. Soft corals and sponges are more abundant, forming spectacular gardens. Chilcot Island is one of 6 vegetated sand cays, all important nesting sites for 27 species of birds. Sorry, Tuffy. The island is a national park. You can't go ashore. The beach rock is a natural buffer to the cyclones that plague the Coral Sea. The death of a turtle is shade for other creatures. A recent cyclone has flattened most of the trees. What I'm looking for is the remains of a hut that used to be here, because there was a guano mining operation here. They're picking up bird droppings, and there was a terrible massacre here. In fact, it happened just out where the boat is. Burrows, the guy who had the operation here, he picked up 3 Aborigines in near Dunk Island. And when they were out here, 2 of the Aborigines snuck up on the men who were sleeping in the hut over here and murdered them. Hit them with blunt axes. And then they swam out to the boat, and the people were totally unsuspecting, and they started to chop into the people on board. Everyone was wounded bar 1 person, and literally almost dying. and that person was able to get a revolver and shoot 2 of the natives. The other one jumped overboard, swam in here, and they chased him, and he jumped back out in the ocean and started swimming, and they never saw him again. Death is a constant companion when growing up on these coral isles. There are boobies, gannets, frigates, shearwaters, terns and noddies in their thousands. Each species has a preferred nesting site: in the branches of the Pisonia trees, on the ground, the beach, or in burrows. Some are migratory and come down from Papua New Guinea to mate and rear their young. It's tough to survive. The heat takes its toll. A direct hit from a cyclone can destroy all the nests. The terns dive for their food. The frigates feed by robbing the terns of their catch. The sea is a great provider. There are a lot of hungry chicks waiting to be fed. Juvenile frigates practice flying, but their runway is an obstacle course of bramble bushes that impede a smooth liftoff. Another problem is that an aborted takeoff can put the bird into a territorial dispute. Sunset is a time to relax from the ordeal of learning to fly through the hot day. Tracks crisscross the sand from the night stalkers. As the sun's heat intensifies, the night prowlers are found sheltering under anything that gives them a little shade. A turtle carcass in this case. These are terrestrial hermit crabs. They live most of their life on the island and have the briefest of links with the sea that spawned them. A growing hermit needs a larger shell. These portable homes are at a premium. So when the cramped hermit spies a bigger shell, he quickly pops out and into the other. It's done late in the day when the birds are well fed. His bare bottom is a tempting morsel, and he's not going to bear it for long. Another spies a luxury home. It's so large, there's no way he can carry it around. Better to leave this mansion and find a little house. The sea is a vital link. Every afternoon, the hermit crabs slip down to the water's edge for a brief swim to replenish their oxygen supply. If swept into deep water and submerged too long, they will drown. After mating, the female must also seek out the water to release her eggs. The young pass through the larval stage as members of the plankton community before returning to a life on land. The coral cay was born from the sea, and all the creatures that live here have a special link with that sea. Crabs tenaciously cling to the rocks as the waves wash over. If they lose their grip and tumble into the rock pool, a predator awaits. A different crab shares the spoils. The coral sea reefs are a graveyard of old sailing ships. I'm searching for the Coringa packet, which was lost in 1845. The reefs were uncharted then, a terrible obstacle in a ship's passage through the Coral Sea.
Something here, something dark. Looks like chain, a massive chain.
Oh yeah, I see some ballast.
This is the wreck, we've got the wreck. Unequal anchor.
There is so little to see of what was once a proud Indian-built ship. Her timbers have long since rotted away. The pounding surf scattered her remains, now swallowed in 158 years of coral growth.
Glenn, this has got to be the Coringa packet. You know, it's the only shipwreck on this reef. And these islands, Coringa Islands, they were named after the ship, after the wreck. And Chilcot Island, this island, was named after the captain. But it's also a very important shipwreck because it was an opium trader. Very fast, beautiful clipper to run the opium trade. So I think we should really have a good scout because this is a particularly important shipwreck.
Perhaps more wreckage lies beyond the surf. It's worth a look. Being an opium clipper, she would be heavily armed against pirate attacks. In our search for the ship's anchors, Lynn comes across friendly denizens of the deep.
Dolphins up ahead, Dean.
I see them.
Okay, cut the motor. Dean.
Okay.
These are spinner dolphins, aptly named. They put on a magnificent show. The visibility is spectacular. 50 metres is the norm. Even the crown of thorns starfish has made it out here, but not in plague numbers. Dramatic differences in the colour of some fish species out here suggest that exchange between the Great Barrier Reef is minimal. When I venture to the edge of the reef, I see it plunges straight down 1,000 metres into an abyss. I do worry about my little mate falling overboard. He's a real sea dog, but he gets so excited. Tuffy's part of the crew, and now he will have his own special life jacket.
Whoa, let's have a look.
Let me see you, Tuffy.
Seems to work.
Every day we troll for a meal. It's Layla's turn at the game rod.
You got him, Layla?
Yeah. What is it?
I don't know. We haven't seen any colour yet. Keep going. Pull it all the way up. Pull it all the way up, and then wind down on the slack you give it. Come on. Here he is. Here he comes. Get him in. Hey, look what's after it. Look at that. That's a big barracuda after a little barracuda. Look at him. Oh, watch out. Oh. Oh, you got him?
Yep.
He took half of it. Look at that. You think you hooked him?
I think so.
Oh, he's got it. He's got it.
He's got it. It's funny.
Oh, yeah, he's got it. Think you hooked him, Layla? Come on, pull him in.
Alright.
Pull up on him. Keep the tension on him.
Alright, where do you want him?
Keep bringing him round. That's it.
Got him?
Yep. He's huge, Layla. Well, he's no good to eat, so
Just gotta...
just got to give him a kiss
No.
and send him on his way.
He's got big teeth though.
Just give him a kiss.
Alright.
Give him a kiss.
I'm blowing a kiss.
Green turtles are mating. The male may piggyback her for an hour. A second male hopes the copulation will be shorter. There's no pair bonding here. A few weeks after mating, she comes ashore to lay her eggs. She has stored the sperm from several partners so she can choose to lay 3 or 4 clutches at 2 weekly intervals on the same beachhead. She will not eat through this breeding period. She may have travelled 2,000 kilometres to reach this island, homing in by detecting minute changes in the Earth's magnetic field for precise navigation. The eggs are like ping pong balls, and they say they're good to eat. The temperature of the incubation decides the sex. If hot, it will be females. If cool, we have males. For her, the ordeal is not yet over. Waiting males will pounce and she'll be back up the same beach in 2 weeks' time. Dehydration kills many females if they do not return to the water by dawn. By the time this nesting season is over, a dozen carcasses will line this beach, giving food and shade to the hermit crabs. Adult turtles have one natural predator, the tiger shark. There is one thing the coral sea does have, and that's lots of sharks. Dean wants to have a little sport. First, some bait must be caught.
He's huge. Look at him. There he is.
There is no jagged hook, just a rope tied to the fish carcass. The sharks can't resist.
There's a decent sized shark in there.
One shark's going for it.
Sharks are as tough as nails. This type of handling doesn't hurt them at all.
It's got the remote on it as well.
Bigger wireless sharks gulp the scraps that drift to the bottom. If sharks have adrenaline, it's pumping. In their frenzy, they're coming back for more.
I wasn't watching.
Dean tests a theory that if you hug a shark while it's on its back, it will freeze. Well, for a second or two anyway.
Look at the size of him. Come up here. Come here. Oh.
That's a big shark, Dean.
Watch the toes. Back in for it.
Is that a pregnant one?
I think he is. He's a big pregnant whaler.
Beautiful.
Look at the mouth on it. I'm not going to pick that one up by the tail.
We leave the Coringa Islets and run northwest to Bougainville Reef. It was the site of breakers here that turned the French explorer Bougainville away. If he had ventured just a little further west, he would have discovered the east coast of Australia a year before Captain Cook. There are two ships here, thrown high up on the reef. An Indonesian longline mothership and a post-war liberty ship called Tara Bahia. While the cyclone put her up here, great swells from subsequent cyclones pounded the ship to pieces. The propeller is huge. It was torn from the shaft on impact when the ship hit the reef. Look at the sounder, Dean. I mean, we're only not even 10 metres off the edge of the reef, and the sounder is bottomless.
No, it really does drop off, doesn't
I
it?
mean, this must just plunge straight down to about 1,000 metres or more. We arrive at Holmes Reef and are greeted by the local identity. Wow, hey, a big barracuda down here. 2 metres long. Let's get our gear. Barracuda can be friendly, but they do have a nasty set of teeth.
Oh, big teeth on him.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Very friendly to women. International scuba divers rate the Coral Sea as the world's #1 dive site. It does live up to its #1 ranking. The clarity and colour impacts on our vision. It's a rare frogfish, a type of anglerfish that dangles a bait-like appendage in front of its mouth to score a meal. This Garden of Eden has its own serpent. The wonderful thing about potato cod is that wherever you meet them in the wild, they are immediately friendly. The reef edge is honeycombed with a labyrinth of caves that enable the divers to penetrate deep inside the coral. As darkness descends on the reef, Even the sharks are spooky. It's now the fourth night after the full moon in November, the precise time when the corals go off. My lamp lights up an underwater Milky Way as millions of eggs are released by the corals below in nature's greatest spawning phenomenon. There is no movement in the tide for hours. Time enough for the eggs at the surface to group and fertilise and create a new progeny that will add growth and colour to the reefs of the Coral Sea. The spawn from the brain corals is a milky fog that clouds our vision. Dawn is as foggy as the water below. For some unknown reason, the black and white snapper awake with more than just a yawn. It's difficult to see, but this tiny crab is waving two nets attached to its claws to snare the plankton. The morning chore for the mantis shrimp is to stack coral rocks around its burrow. Now it can venture out and forage for food, but not too far from the safety of its home. The coral spawning has clouded the water. Visibility is halved. Nature's great sex act seems to stimulate a host of creature activity. Cleaner fish serve as a giant. The barracuda allows these cleaners to go where no other fish may pass, alive. The male cleaner is the busiest of all fish, for he also controls a harem of some 10 females. Meet the slingjaw. Now it looks like an ordinary fish until the jaw pops out. Think of all the advantages. Some creatures can disappear right out of this world. The sandy bottom hides many creatures. What can't be seen is difficult to eat. This pair of damselfish are guarding their eggs. bigger damsel is very aggressive. He's trying to push me out of his territory. He's so fastidious. Even a broken piece of coral has to be removed. A graceful dancer, the flatworm. Fairy baslets change direction with the surge. They colour this coral garden and rise in the water column above their home patch to spawn. A yellow damsel eats their eggs as they drift down. In this coral garden of the Coral Sea, fish swim upside down in caves, where the ceiling becomes the floor. A long-nosed butterfly fish can probe deep into narrow crevasses for its food, but it's unable to beat the swift retreat of the Christmas tree worms. The little clownfish is dwarfed by its neighbour, a giant clam. Chameleon of the sea, the cuttlefish. She's depositing her eggs among the protective coral branches. Hopefully, the long-nosed butterfly fish won't find them. Titan triggerfish locate their food by overturning rocks. Tasty worms hide underneath. When night descends, the reef puts on its own star-studded display of flashing pilchards. The daytime fish are asleep. Our lamps awaken and disorientate them. Corals come alive with colour. The polyp tentacles extend and feed. A new shift of marine creatures emerge. These are the night stalkers, weird and wonderful, creepy crawlies. We meet the creature most divers wish to avoid. Drab by day and colourful at night, the stonefish has 13 venomous spines that can inflict an agonising wound. This porcelain crab has a female in his grasp and is not going to let her go. He's carrying her to his coral boudoir. When parrotfish are asleep, they're easily handled. On a night dive, it's best not to worry about what could lie in the darkness behind us. When a shark enters the beam, it's unnerving to think, now just how long has he been following us? Camouflage is crucial if fish wish to sleep out in the open. Can you spot this group of rabbitfish? Our lamps dazzle and reveal a magic world where all the creatures seem to move in slow motion. Turtles do sleep, but only for as long as they can hold their breath. An opportunist feeder, a sea snake grabs a wrasse while asleep. After weeks of diving in the Coral Sea, Dean and I and the reef sharks have become quite complacent of each other. I go by my theory on sharks. If they're not bigger than me, don't worry. Just sit quietly and enjoy them. Dean can't resist counting them. There's only 17 sharks circling us. Talk about complacency. 17 sharks circle us and Dean blows bubble rings. A dive out here is not a worry. Here in this embattled coral sea, life in all its diversity, richness and colour does survive on these emerald isles and in this rainbow sea.